Welcome to the porch in Hopalong Hollow. It's a lovely rainy day. Perfect time to get those little seedlings together. Those little seedlings that have grown enough to be moved on to bigger pots. So that's what we're going to do right now. For those of us that garden, even the most minimal of tasks that may seem like a real tedious thing to other people can just be a thrill. And that includes pricking out your little seedlings. Because here they are. You started with nothing but a tiny seed, and lo and behold, here are these beautiful little plants. And if you're really lucky, they are absolutely overpopulating pots. And if that's the case, you don't have one little seed, you don't have one little foxglove, you have an entire garden full of plants. And that's the simple joy of gardening, just one of the many. So what we're doing today is we're going to prick out our little seedlings. You know, I didn't have great success with everything, but the things that I really had success with were the things that I really wanted to grow. And those were my flowers. And these were really a success story. Now, these were my delphiniums. First of all, I had to refrigerate them for 2 weeks. Then I finally got to pop them, and I put them in the windowsill, and nothing happened. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, I mean, honestly, I was ready to toss in the towel. And then suddenly, I started to get these little bitty seedlings, and lo and behold, I must have over a dozen beautiful future delphiniums in this little container. Now, a lot of people say when you're thinning out your seedlings, just pick the healthy one and, chop the heads off the others. But I like to save everybody. So in the case of these who have done so well, my goodness, can you believe it? I was a little overzealous with the foxglove seed, but it's so tiny, it was hard not to be. But look at all the foxgloves that need their own separate little home. And you know what? You're going to get it. The hollyhocks, doing great. The funny thing is, these are the same kind of seeds in these little pellets that didn't bloom, and yet nothing is happening there. So don't ask me why. They're in the same growing conditions, they're in the same seed starter, they're the same seeds from the same packet, and yet all of those, nothing. That's okay. It seems to me I've got an awful lot to go around here, so I'm really going to have a good time with this. Now, the other day I was in the store and I saw some beautiful foxgloves. They were about gallon pots, but they were about $16, and they already had their blooms on them, which means that in your garden they aren't going to survive for very long, and you're not going to have much that beauty for a very long time. But look at this. Every little seedling that I see, to me, is a future. Well, this is, for example, is hyssop. Look at all these hyssop plants. My goodness, I could fill 3 gardens with these hyssop plants, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So what am I going to do with this little overpopulated mass of seedlings, these are the little foxgloves, in this little peat pot? Well, I'm going to very carefully take this apart bit by bit, and you can see that I've already done it here. They're not as delicate as they seem, but each little one of those, I'll either put 1 or 2 into each of these prepared pots, which are a little bit bigger for them, and they can keep growing in here until they're ready to go into the garden. This is simply the paper peat pots, and they are filled with potting soil in the bottom, and there's still the seed starting mix in the top. And I'm just going to take my finger, poke a little hole in there, and put those little seedlings in so they have more room to grow. So here they are, transplanted into another pot, then potted up is what it's called. And make sure that you keep them wet. They're still very tiny, and they're still very young, so I'm still going to keep these in a windowsill. Now, these are ones that I potted up, I guess, about a week ago. And you can see that now they're able to grow so much more freely. This was done in pure compost. I was kind of experimenting to see if there's any difference between that and this seed starter. So far, I don't really see a whole lot of difference. Here is an example of a Canterbury bell. That's something else I had great luck with. Now, my vegetables are not doing much yet, but we'll see. That remains to be seen. Not all these will go in the potager, obviously, but a lot of these will, because the hollyhocks in particular look wonderful in a potager up against a wall. And when I planted the hollyhocks in these little pots, I only put 1 or 2 seeds in each one, so I really don't have to worry too much about pricking out those. It's just these overpopulated groups. Each one of those is a little individual, you know. Each one of those can grow into a beautiful plant, so every one of them matters to me. I guess I should have mentioned that you don't want to start pricking out your seedlings until they have their true leaves. So the first leaves, I call them the baby leaves, and those are the first 2 little leaves that pop out. But then eventually you're going to see more and more leaves like this. These are penstemons also, and they've got their true leaves. And I had already pricked these out, so they are, I did about 3 to 4 in a pot. The next home they have is going to be right into the garden. Now, a lot of these, for example, this Canterbury Bell, I could put this in the garden right now, as long as there's no danger of frost. And actually, the younger and the smaller you put them in the garden, I think the more likely they are to take.